let's say I'm working with the chief executive.
Mm-hmm.
I need to find out what is worrying him.
Right.
Why does he want any help at all?
Mm-hmm.
And what may come out of his mouth may be anything from he doesn't like the safety program in his business. The people down there in the trenches aren't being careful enough with his policies.
Mm-hmm.
Or he says we have an accountability problem. People aren't held accountability. Both of those are hopelessly vague to me. So I push to the example.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, give me an example of what you mean. And he says, well, I've got these vice presidents and they're all getting good pay, but they're not delivering on what they promised. You know, they're not accountable. So I say, well, how do you define accountability? And he says, well, you know, they made promises and they didn't deliver them. How do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't meet a target. And sooner or later, I get a sense of, is it a relationship problem, or is it that they have other commitments, their matrix somehow,
Mm-hmm.
or is it actually, and most likely, his own failure to monitor them?
Mm-hmm.
That he hasn't, I may say, well, when is the last time you asked him about that commitment?
Right.
He said, well, we agreed at the beginning of the year. And I said, and you assumed that that would be enough to keep him busy?
I understand this, and I like this. And I think there's a lot of implicit knowledge about organizations that lead you to pick up your focuses.
Absolutely. The experience
Mm-hmm.
of successive consultations, you begin to know what is most likely the problem.
Yeah, and
but only when you force concrete examples.
Absolutely, I totally agree. My concern was more, and I'm imposing a discussion on you that is not your discussion, but it's my discussion between those who really try to learn what organizations make work, and not only stick to their clinical, psychological, or sociological approach of relationship between people that can happen anywhere. Really to focus on the purpose of organizations, on the cultures of organizations. And the INOC thing should see, especially because I'm coming from the coaching field. We have a lot of coaches who do more or less psychotherapy with individuals and do not pay attention to all these context questions of organizations that seem to be natural for you.
Now, this brings us back to Jervis Bush.
Yes.
And dialogic OD, because it was in the T group that we first developed the notion of the here and the now.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a T group trainer, you don't go in as a psychologist to help group members, which nowadays is being done, and I don't like it. You go in to help this group learn from whatever happens.
Mm-hmm.
What we call the spirit of inquiry,
Mm-hmm.
examining here and now behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need to be a psychologist. I needed to be a good observer. I needed to be very sensitive to the here and now.
Yes.
And what unfortunately happened in the T group movement, which now is almost dominant, is it has become again a therapy for normals,
Right.
helping individuals grow, for which you need a psychological frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep saying, no, you must be a sociologist, you must be a group person, you must be here and now oriented. Forget psychoanalysis, forget all these models. Pay attention to what's going on.